All right, you here?
Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I was
Okay.
like, I
Uh-uh.
don't know. I left
It
out
was
of my
mine.
bedroom. So.
I had to do a little.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we're going to get started. Hold up today. This is done in the Interactive Nanny. I'm again from Interactive Nanny World. And we're here with a special guest that I actually told you guys about. This is actually one of my best friends. She's like a sister to me. But she's a jewelry designer and a graphic artist. And so y'all remember a few weeks ago I did the entry on like art of the fact. So she sort of has background as far as doing art. So I sort of want to be her. And then she has a child that's really creative too. So I sort of wanted to pick her brain on a couple of questions and just let her, share some information with y'all as far as art that I probably didn't cover in a few weeks. So we're gonna get started with interviewing a couple of guys. And again, if you guys have any questions or comments, whatever, you can always message me here on Interactive, or you can email me via interactivenanny@gmail.com. Okay. Her name is Sonja. Anyway, Sonja.
Yes, ma'am.
What needed that you were, I guess, planned out?
I'm sorry, you broke up. You said, when did I what now?
When did you realize that you really were artistic, or that you took an interest into being into the arts?
Me personally?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was 4.
Oh, wow.
I guess I knew it before then. But yeah, because I used to always draw.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started out wanting to be a fashion designer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always drawing. Like all you had to do was give me a pen and some paper, a pencil, some crayons, some paper, and that's what I would do. I would just sit and draw clothes. And then I started making little clothes for my dolls out of old socks, old t-shirts, scraps, and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, you couldn't have told me I wasn't going to be a fashion designer. I was just like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. But, being raised by my grandparents,
mm-hmm.
that's the thing of, oh, that's just something that she's, just playing around with. And it was nothing really that, that they supported. So it was just a hobby and, just something, a little girl is doing. And so that was that. And all through high school, like I drew different outfits. I designed a couple. Well, I didn't personally sew them, but I designed a couple of wedding dresses, some prom dresses, my own prom dress.
Wow.
And I with the lady that was a seamstress. Actually, it was my senior boyfriend's mom. She's since passed on, but I'm talking about this lady was so cold. She wouldn't even need a pattern
mm-hmm.
to sew for you. She could look at you and say, yeah, and she'd take a measurement as confirmation of what she thought, and she could make it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, she was amazing. So, but yeah, and then after that, of course, wanting to be on the road to, to be a fashion designer, grandparents not really supporting it, thinking I should either be a teacher or an engineer. Grandfather was strictly for engineering because he worked at Southern Research Institute. And then my grandmother was director of daycares, about 2 of them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so her thing was, you need to go into education. All the women in our family either do medical, because most of them either worked at daycares
mm-hmm.
or the women were home health sitters.
Right.
They went to people's home and sat with them. And so I was like, nah. I was like, I kind of like, psychology, so I'll do that. And it was actually working with the Civitan International.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a chance to do the graphic for the National Head Start project. And I had a chance to do that. And I was like, oh, this is it right here. Like, I loved everything about it. And so I was like, okay, I want to pursue graphic design, because before that I never even knew. But I remember watching Bewitched, mm-hmm. and I never knew what Darren did, but I remember he had that table. And I remember saying, I want to do that. Like, I don't know what that table is, but I and crazy always about the things. And I was like, I want that table. Girl, yes. I was like, and it had, you know what a drafting table look like. It's got the little lean to it. And I was like, oh, I want that. And so, yeah, but of course.
Mr. Brady had on the Brady Bunch.
Yes, and see, you already know. And I was like, I need that. I want that right there. So, in that girl, yeah, all parts of that, yeah, need that.
Okay.
And so, but they were in advertising, you know. So, but yeah, and then I think Darren was an architect, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe it was Mr. Brady. But anyway,
architect, I know that.
Yeah, and so I think Darren was in marketing though. But still, it's like, ooh, I want that. And it wasn't until I did the writing, it was like the graphic for the writing sample for the National Head Start project, that I ended up working with somebody, and I was like, "Ooh, he got that tape." And so, what do you do? And that's how I got introduced to graphic design. Like before then, it's like you see logos, you see letterhead, you see billboards and all that stuff. But I guess I never thought about it, because in my head, I was like, I'm going to be a fashion designer, you know. And yeah, but after that, and then went to the Art Institute of Houston. Oh my goodness. Had a ball. Like I felt like, oh yeah, this is home for me. This is where I should be.
Oh wow.
And so program, and yeah, and that's pretty much been it ever since. But you know, it's funny to me because everything that Kesney's doing, the dancing, the singing, I did all of that. I did all of that when I was young. But you know, my grandparents weren't going for any of that.
Right.
You know, you don't dance. You know, their thing was, you know, good Christian girls don't dance. You'll end up, you know, in the club begging for money. You know, I was like, wait a minute, like what? Like, how does that happen? But that's how they saw it, you know. And then, as far as the whole singing part, you know, it was more or less, if you're not singing gospel, then you're singing for the world. And so it's just, you know, and so I kind of let those go. I was like, you know what, I'll just do this, and then maybe they'll be okay with it this way, which makes you realize. And I think that's the thing, as Kesney finds her way and she's doing her thing, it's like that's big as a parent, you know, bringing back to being a creative and then being a parent of a creative. You don't force your ideas and beliefs on them. Right. You know, you just support them as they kind of take up their own wings, you know, and fly their own path. So that's the biggest thing. Because my grandparents, it's like everything I did. I even remember a teacher. I remember one time we were in high school, and I want to say maybe I was about 10th grade, because I was thinking photography could be a thing. Because, you know, I just love all things art. I'm an artist. I've always been there. And I remember we were doing one of those assessments in school. Right. And it's crazy because I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about Steve Harvey and how they had listened to his motivational speech, where he was saying how the teacher had asked all the kids to write down what they wanted to be when they grew up. And she saved his for last. And he thought, you know, in his mind, oh, she just saved the best for last. Right. But basically what she did was she made fun of him. And so he was saying how he stuttered and all this stuff. And she asked him to read something, and he was like, I want to be on TV. And she was like, boy, who do you know that's been on TV? You know, anybody in your house on TV, you try to make him feel bad. And it's like, it's crazy because when I listened to it myself, I thought about Miss Crest, girl. And I mean, I guess I shouldn't say anything about it, you know, God rest her soul. But she was that one. And she called me up and she was like, you want to be a photographer? I'm going to give you your paper back because apparently you don't understand the question that I asked you. Yeah, girl, in front of the whole class, 10th grade. And she was like, you don't understand the question I asked you. So I'm going to give you this paper back and I'm going to give you some time to think about it, because that is not a profession.
Wow.
And I was like crushed, because I was like, I'm an artist though. Yeah. And so you just, and I hate that I never like stood up for my own self, my own art and all of that. I pretty much tried to fit myself in whatever box, whether it be a teacher or my parents or family members. I always tried to fit in that box. And it never worked. Like I always felt like I was fighting against something. Right. And that's what it was. I was fighting against them to be me, you know, so. But yeah, so now we're here. It's like, but you know, and it's like years of wanting to be myself, but listening to people have to say it. Like, you know, you cannot, because you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy, you know? And so it's crazy because I think about it, like my aunt passed not knowing what her purpose was. And she was like, I just don't even know. And it's like, but really she wasn't her purpose. Like my aunt was that worker at the hospital. Like she was the one that loved on you, you know, and she just never, I guess because in her eyes, she never saw that as the thing that she should have been doing, but it really was.
Right.
So she walked around thinking she should have been doing something greater when actually she really was in her purpose, and she never realized it because she was the one. You went to the hospital, the family was down there, gotten some bad news about relative being in there, and she was the one, it's gonna be okay. And you know, you just gotta pray about it, and you know, you need a hug, and that was her. And she was kind of more or less like a patient care technician until she, you know, surgery technician. She would end up being that later on. But she was like, I just don't know why I'm here. I just don't know what my purpose is. And I was like, but you're doing it though. Because it came naturally for her. You know, she was just a person that loved people, you know, but it was just unfortunate she didn't love herself as much, you know. But anyway, I ain't trying to make it sad. but it is that thing though, you know, because that's like real relevant right now, especially right now, you know, with everything going on and people just trying to find their way. And it's like, you know, but it really is that thing that you do it even if you didn't make any money at it. You know, you just love to do. It's that thing that gets you up. And a lot of times, you know, we try to walk away from a lot of it, you know, in search of money or whatever the case may be, when it's like, we, you know, just stay the course and all of that'll come to you. Like everything you need and desire, it'll come to you because that's the path God set you on, you know, but you're looking for something. So yeah, which is something, because I was thinking about it. And Pastor Mike said this in his sermon on Sunday. Lord, hold on. Let me run and get my note because I can't even remember, but it was so profound. I know you hear me running through the house. I'm sorry. Girl, yeah. Where's my notebook? Where's my notebook? And I was like, and I told somebody this there too. He said, many of us can't receive God's provision because we're looking for our preference. Girl, that right there says so much, and it sums up so much, you know, because basically, and it is, you know, just like I said with my aunt, you didn't even realize that was your calling because you felt like it should have been something more than that.
Yeah.
And it's like it really is. It boils down to that. You know, we never recognize it because we're looking for it to come another way or look another way or, you know, just whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm sorry. That was a long-winded answer.
Okay. No, you're good. Next question.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you know that Tiffany was leaning toward, I guess, being a creative or artistic or whatnot?
Girl, when I carried my child,
Jesus.
I would be in board meetings and say we'd be, you know, like reviewing commercials, because I used to that's when I was working advertising at Macy's. And girl, we'd be in our creative meetings or something, and somebody was like, oh, you know, and they like have a little background music playing or whatever, you know, just waiting for everybody. And I'm talking, girl, I would have to stand up. That girl would get to moving around, like all types of music, just all types of music around. You know how you have headset for the belly and headset for your head so you can listen. Girl, I remember I had some reggae and some soca music playing, and I said, I'll have this playing and it'll kind of soothe her. Girl, I woke up that next morning feeling like I had been run over by a truck. That girl danced hard. I mean, that's the only thing I can think, because I was so tired that next morning. Like my stomach was even sore. And I can't do that no more. Like, you will not listen to music going to bed because it's just, it was a mess. And so I knew then. And then once she got here, it's the same thing. You know how they can barely stand up on their legs, but they hear a little music and she bumping and bouncing. And so, and I would always sing to her. Like I would make up little songs, and, you know, like we, you know, just in the house cleaning up, and I'd have her in her little, her little swing, and I'd make up songs and stuff. And then I started realizing she was singing them with me, or she was trying to hum them back to me. And I was like, oh yeah, she got the bug. Yeah, she got it. So yeah, I pretty much when I carried her, I knew it was gonna be something. And then, Sonja praise dance at the church at my home. And so she would be practicing, and Kessney would get in there with her, 2-3 years old. Kessney get in there. And that's when I realized she could pick up routines really quickly. Like Kessney would only have to see it one time and she'd run through it right with you the next time. And it's like, whoa. So yeah. I've always, with her. But she was always focused on dance though. She had opportunities to sing. She acted kind of shy about it. She's still a little shy today, but she's more comfortable now with her voice. And I guess more or less because she's really been, trying and doing everything. Yeah, so yeah, she's been a creative sidekick. So yes, ma'am. So yeah.
So how did you get off into jewelry design?
My grandmother was always making something, and it would be funny because, like I said, with her being, director of a couple of daycares, and it was like one by the time I got to high school, and then she was keeping kids at home. She always would do these crafts, and I'm talking about like with the little, what's it, Triscuits, the little Nabisco, I think it's Nabisco, those little Triscuits and stuff. Girl, I remember she made earrings out of those.
Oh, wow.
And she dried them, and then she put like glue on them, then she spray painted them, put the little flat back on it. And I was like, that's all it is. And she actually taught me how to crochet too. So I can't read a pattern. She couldn't read a pattern. She just sat down. She was like, come here, let me show you. And so I learned how to crochet from her too. So, and to this day, I still can't read a pattern, which is really sad because there, you can go out there like YouTube and everything else and learn. But I just do it for the sheer fact of working with my hands because I love to. But that's how jewelry came about, just sitting around with my grandmother. And then I started looking at other stones and wood beads, and I would see stuff, and like even rocks on the ground. And it's like, I got a rock from the church right now. I probably shouldn't say it. I didn't steal it. I guess I did. I just picked it up off the ground. But it was a pretty one. And I wrapped some gold around it. I have, well, no, it's not gold, copper. So I got one that I got from the church, and I wrapped copper wire around it. But that was my thing, though. I could see stuff. And what other people saw it as, I saw something different. And so, that's how jewelry came about. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try that. And then I see something else like, I see that, but that's not what I want to do. And then I'll break it up and make something else out of it. And it got to be a joke. When I was at Macy's, they would always laugh because it was one girl in there, and we would be out because we would have these interior decorating contests over the weekend. We give ourselves, like on a Friday at work, we give ourselves a budget. And by Sunday, we would have to have like a total room done for like $100 or whatever. And so a lot of times I would find stuff and then just paint it and redo it and stuff. And then one of the girls was like, well, I don't even know why you in the stores looking at stuff, because all you gonna do is make it yourself. And it's like, and I would, because that's just, again, that was that artist, that creative eye, and it's like, and I would. So I didn't win all the time though. I did win sometimes, but I didn't win all the times. And it would be merely because of scraps that I found. And I would just make it, because we would have like the whole room. You get graded on the whole room, and then you get graded on a handmade piece that you put in the room. And then it would be like, okay, what did you make that from? And so what you make that out of. So so it was fun. So that kind of helped a lot of that too. But that's where jewelry came from. Just my grandmother, watching her put stuff together, and buy some beads or some pearls of hers will fall apart. And she was like, you know what? That's okay. I'm going to just make I'm going to make a necklace and some earrings. And she would do it. And I was like, whoa. So that's where that came from. Just watching her and kind of, I can do that too. And then I do it.
Wow.
Yep. That's where that came from. So, yep.
So if you were talking to another parent of a smaller child, and you noticed that child took interest in art, being creative or something like that, but the parent probably didn't necessarily agree with it. How would you, I guess, approach that parent or encourage that parent to at least let the child try?
That's it. Just encourage them to, I think a lot of times we as parents say no to certain things because we don't know. We haven't done the research, or we haven't sat down and spoken to our child about what that particular art does for them, how it makes them feel, what the finished product, how it feels to finish something, that you put your hands on or done, created, been a part of as far as plays and, dance recitals and stuff like that. And so I would say get in there with them. If it's something that you see that your child is really interested in, then sit and talk to them about it. Don't just say, you don't need to do that. You just playing. It's like, no, because actually that's a chance to sit and bond with your child, because they'll respect you more if you actually try to see where they're coming from than to just cut it down before they even get started. And so, so in that respect, it's like, even if you got to go do a little research yourself and see what's what. And that's been the thing with Kessney now, graduating. Well, she'll graduate Friday, but with her going off to this school, because remember, we started out, she taught Savannah State. And so now she's talking at music and media. And so I was like, whoa, wait a minute. When did the shift change? And really it's been due to COVID-19. Because with us in the house and her not being able to get out and, and dance and tour like she had been doing, it gave her a chance to actually sit and play around with some, I guess, production apps. So she's like producing her own, coming up with her own, I guess they call them beats. And so she's been doing that. And that's where it came from. And she was like, well, I really love singing. I want to dance too, but I really want to give my singing a try. So I'm like, okay. And so we sat and really talked about it, because, my thing is, my biggest reason for supporting her, one, was because I noticed she had talent, and two, I remember what it felt like for me to be a creative and not have that support. And so I never wanted her to feel that. But yeah, that's the biggest thing a parent can do. Just actually, before you cut it down, talk to your child about it. And if it's something, I just want to do it because my friends, okay, Aunt, that's a red flag right there. But if I always wanted to do this, or I really feel like I could be good at this, and then you just start small. If they're an artist, Michael's has coupons, Hobby Lobby has coupons. You can get supplies, and start off small, with not a lot of investment in, initially. And as you see them, you see they're getting better, then of course you invest in better products. So, but better tools for the trade. But that would be my suggestion. It's like, try to do a little research on your own, have an open conversation about it, and then just really see where your child is at with it, and then just kind of move from there. Because it could be something that they get into and it's like, well, it's not what I thought, or I really want to do it, because sometimes, and I say this because we've made life appear easy for kids, or we've kind of always just, you don't really have to do that. It's been some times I push Cassie, it's like, well, I don't want to do, no, because I didn't pay all this money. You can do it. And it's like, or at least see it through. Because my thing is, I respect, especially when you're talking about these dance classes or these dance companies, and you sign these contracts and you're in it where you gotta pay this money out.
Right.
You can't just decide this month, I'm having fun, I want to do it, and then the next month you're out because you've signed a contract. And that contract is gonna go for however long, 9 months, 11 months, however the thing is, and you're gonna have to pay that money because you signed it.
Right.
My thing is, and you may have to do a little extra encouragement. It's like, okay, is this really what you want to do? Because you said this was what you wanted to do. Are you changing? Well, unfortunately, you're gonna have to, do it until it's over, and then we'll, change